Hello everyone and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name is Brian, and as a gamer and a father, Minecraft Dungeons has been an amazing experience. Now whether I'm playing with my children or my friends online, at its core, Dungeons is a simple concept, but it's expanded in fun and unique ways, bringing a wide range of complexity and variety to the overall game. It's the goal of this guide to break up those systems and give you the information that you need to know to have a blast when playing this game. Now, whether you're playing this with your family or just trying to be the most powerful dungeon crawler in the world. Now, since this video will cover a lot of topics, I've broken them up into parts, and you can use the playhead here on YouTube to jump to the section that most interests you, or you can use the description of this video to find out more about what you're looking for. But part 1 is going to focus in on introducing you to the game, the map, and its difficulty settings. Part 2 is going to focus in on your weapons, your armor, your bow, and your artifacts, aka your skills. And part 3 is going to focus in on tips and tricks for surviving the game and your overall build. If you're new here and you're checking out this video, welcome. If you feel like with this guide that I've earned your subscription, I do hope that you hit that subscribe button and come back for even more content, as well as check out the links in the description below to check out my podcast channel, Ginger Gaming Radio, for even more gaming content here on YouTube. But for now, let's go ahead and dive in and go explore some dungeons. Minecraft Dungeons is a dungeon crawler RPG inspired by games like Diablo and Torchlight. The game focuses on exploring a map and finding its treasure, dealing with the enemies within, and occasionally fighting a boss. Minecraft Dungeons takes that concept and puts it into the Minecraft universe, and it tells the player that they have the freedom to build whatever character they want. When you're starting this game, you create your character, and in this case, you pretty much just set a base skin, which you can change at any time. You don't have to be stuck with the character that you're set with. And when you enter into the game world, the base game does come with a story attached to it, but it just serves as a plot device to drive you from one level to the next. Now, when you're starting your game, you can actually have the option to create an online game or a local co-op game with up to 4 players in local mode. Now, obviously, if you're starting an online game, when you do, you'll actually see if your friends are already in the game that you can just join them, or you can create a brand new online session. Now, whenever you do return to the game or in between missions, you're going to be brought to your camp. As you play, your camp will grow and it will offer more features and shops that you can spend your emeralds on. From here, you can actually use your back button on your controller or your F key to pull up your friends list and social menu. The game doesn't offer chat support, so only your friends are going to be able to join you in your game, and you won't need to worry about getting teamed up with strangers on the internet. Now, the overall UI for this game is very minimalistic, which allows you to focus more on the Minecraft world and the gameplay itself. Now, going from left to right, you can see my skill points that I have yet to use. You can see my inventory screen. You can see my 3 artifacts, or my skills in this case. You can see my current health. You can see my cooldown ability. This is going to be my healing ability. And then you can see my map, as well as my role, and the number of arrows, and finally the amount of emeralds that I currently have in my possession. Now, playing this game with a simple mouse and keyboard, it's easy just to click and hold, and you're going to have your character move. Or if you're playing it with a controller, you can move around and run around like you naturally would. Using the right stick on a controller will allow you to do your dodge move, in which you can see your right bumper here, or this skill, using as your roll. So just right bumper and you can see your cooldown. And that's how often you can do a dodge roll, which will get you, honestly, out of dodge. It saves your life more times than I care to admit. Now, before we go into our mission selection, I do want to talk about some of the vendors that you'll see. You've got a blacksmith here, which will give you a random piece of gear that you can roll for, with the cost in this case of 98 emeralds that I can choose to use there, or I can come talk to the wandering trader and open up an artifact in this case. A little bit more costly, but let me go ahead and do that. And you can see here I got a tasty bone level 24. We'll go into more detail about these skills here in part 2 in just a second. If I go to the blacksmith, I can roll for gear, and I can see that I got a rapid crossbow. Obviously it's random, and that's kind of the value of emeralds. They're not going to lose value because there's no real guarantee. You can't just go out and specifically buy a piece of gear you're looking for. That's kind of the gameplay loop as a part of these dungeon crawlers. It is the loot acquisition, and it is a little bit random, and we'll dive again more into the gear and the artifacts here in part 2. But for now, if you want to go into a mission, you can run up to the mission select, or you can press your map key from here. The map's actually going to act a little bit differently when you're in the game, but it's going to bring up the level, and you can see all the different levels that you can pick from and run. Now, there are hidden levels. You can see here, Creepy Crypt. That's a hidden level and unlockable, and the game has a lot of these hidden dungeons scattered throughout each level, so more things to go find and explore as a part of the game. And then as the game expands, we got DLC coming in July, so if you're watching this in past July, we'll be covering the island realms in an upcoming video, so be sure to check out the channel for more Minecraft Dungeons content. But but you can see the world and what's in it. A couple UI elements here. You have your new mission rewards. You can just easily see that in right trigger. It's going to pull up and you're going to see what is going on. It's going to direct you to a piece of content that you want to go focus in on. You can also change your overall difficulty setting, in this case by pressing Y. Once you beat the main story, you're going to unlock adventure mode, which is going to give you more enemies, new enemy enhancements, new rewards that are better, and new gear and artifacts that are going to be available for dropping. Once you beat that, you're going to unlock Apocalypse with even more danger and things to go and challenge you as a player at. Now, even within that, within those 3 tiers of difficulty, each level will have its own tier of difficulty that you can scale accordingly. If you look at the overall screen here, you can see recommended power 10. As I scale it to different things, you can see it goes up and down, and you can see your power here, which is going to tell you with a green arrow up or a red arrow down, whether you meet or exceed or match that power accordingly. You can also see what type of gear drops from the level itself. That way you can see what you're hunting. In this case, I have yet to get all the gear drops out of this run, and then you can see what artifacts drop as well. You can easily change your level and see what you're missing and what you need to hunt for and find the right level for the right difficulty. Let's say I jump over into adventure mode. You can see here that now just what was just once at a power level is now recommended at 33. So the significant jump is pretty high, but you can see it also offers new rewards. You might even have already received those rewards as drops, and we'll go over some of those here in more detail in part 2, but it's going to give you something to hunt for, and it's also going to tell you what can drop when you're looking for that either specific reward or piece of gear to kind of maximize your build. All right, so now let's dive into part 2, in which we're going to focus on your weapons, armor, bow, skills, and your runes and your artifacts. So much more, so much to talk about. I'm really excited about this part. You can see your overall character level here. As you get experience, that's going to go up. That's the core part of the RPG. Just by playing the game, you're going to be getting experience and you're going to level up. In this case, I'm level 25 and I've got 2 points of power to spend. You can see here I've invested 4 points into my mace, 2 points into my robe, and 9 points into my crossbow. If I just kind of click on the weapon itself, you can kind of see what's going on here. You can see that it's rare, what my base damage is, and you can see my power, speed, and my area of effect accordingly. So how hard do I hit? How fast do I hit? What's my general area? You'll see that weapons, like if I go pick on, I'm just focusing on my weapons here and focus on the sword, I get this green arrow. This sword, its base melee damage is higher than my mace. I also have the option for a few runes, and we'll dive into the runes that you can equip, here just in a second. But my base melee is higher. My power is a little bit lower. You can see that with the red line. But overall, my speed is increased, thus making this an overall more powerful weapon, depending on if it fits the kind of build that I'm going for. You can also see a couple different rarities in this case. So this sword is common, this sword is rare, and this Truth Seeker happens to be unique. You can see it in the colors, green being rare, and unique items and weapons are kind of lined in this gold. They end up coming with their own special style of skill, their own enhancement, so to speak, that you don't need to put points into. So the Truth Seeker in this case increases damage to wounded mobs, and it also has a +2 to soul gathering. More on that in an upcoming video. You can see its overall power. Speed is slower, so it's a heavy hitting weapon, and then I've got my 2 different enhancements listed here. Let's go ahead and talk about enhancements, because this is a core aspect of how this game works together and how you level up and enhance your weapons, obviously, because it's called enhancements. So if I press Y in this case, or I pull up my enhancement screen, I get a couple of runes here, and I get 2 categories for this weapon. You can actually have up to 3 categories that you can pick different runes specifically for, but let's go ahead and just kind of talk about what we see on screen. This one has a looting tier, in which that I use the enhancement point, the enchant points, to increase my looting by 100%, or I can use change. This has a 30% chance of increasing a cluster of mobs together and keep them bound for a short time. You can see it's going to last for 1 second, and as I continue to level it up to 3 tiers, that's going to go up to 3 seconds accordingly. I could also take chains on the second tier, or I can take Prospector. This is going to have more emeralds drop from fallen enemies for an enhancement point. If I go look at my my souls one here, I have Anima Conduit, and I've got that maxed out to tier 3, and you can see that obviously with the little 3 tier listed right there. And what that does is that gives me a small amount of health for enemies that I kill, and that is going to be 3%. It's a nice way to continue to heal yourself in this case. The other one I have Soul Siphon, and I can upgrade it from, right now it's at 3 souls, I can upgrade it to 6 or 9 souls accordingly. So when you hit an enemy, you gain a 10% chance to grant you a bunch of extra souls, and that's all kind of a part of a build regarding kind of soul farming, a soul build, if you will, for casting even with melee DPS. So you can see I've got that weapon, and I've got 7 points already ported into that. I'm going to go ahead and break this down. So if I hold X in this case with the salvage key, what this is going to return points to me. So I can go ahead and say salvage, and I'm going to get some money, and I'm also going to get some points. Now I'm up to 9 enhancement points, so I can enhance my weapons a little bit better. I can undo that in case you accidentally salvage something you didn't want. You can easily undo that and return that to your inventory. But let's go ahead and dive in here, and I can see I want to reduce my speed, and boom. Now this is tier 3. It's even more powerful. And then my second category, lightning, let's go ahead and enhance that to tier 3, thus leaving me with 1 point and 12 points into my mace, making that just an even more powerful and devastating effect. Now, if we look here at my Ember Robe, which is what I have equipped right now as at the time of this recording, Ember Robe comes with a burning of nearby enemies. What you can see here just on the screen, that is represented by this nice little red outline on me. As enemies come close to me, they're going to get burning damage, which is going to happen naturally. And that's just a part of this being a unique robe. You'll see these kind of robes out there, and they have different levels of enhancement. You can also see about this robe, let me just click on it here. It comes with 142 health, burns nearby enemies, 25% artifact cooldown, meaning I can use my skills faster, and 15% move speed aura. That's overall just going to help improve. Now I've already enhanced this. Let me just pull that up. So I've got an enhanced melee and attack speed, and then I also have food reserve, so that when I use my healing potion, I'm going to drop food for other people to use to heal themselves, or I could use if I need it on the own. Those are just a couple of the different type of enhancements. Then this is my favorite. This is my scatter bow. What this does is it's got 22 times 3 range damage. It's got multiple projectiles. So what I've enhanced it with is I've enhanced it with multi-shot, a chance to fire 5 arrows at once per arrow. This makes it like I'm just spreading out arrows like a madman. And then I also have explosive shot, essentially fuse shot. This is going to say every few shots, there's going to be a time charge that explodes 1 second after impact, dealing 100% of damage to nearby enemies. You can see I get the multi-shot, and there's some chances that some of them are going to blow up. Now within the inventory, you can filter it by weapons, ranged, armors, and artifacts. So let's just kind of take a look at some of the artifacts or some of the armors that we have here at our disposal. And you can see I've got Grim Armor, how much health, souls gathered. So if I was kind of going for a souls build, I could do that here. I can see Speed Synergy, Explorer, Food Reserves, Thorns, Deflect, and Frenzy. Thorns is a really good one because it does damage to targets, that are hitting you. So you can do damage just returned and more. Now you can see here I've got 2 tiers. Now I have to end up picking one. So if I go ahead and pick Thorns just to upgrade, boom. Now that is a Thorns tier, and I can't pick other runes. That's why the 3 skills, when you find those those powerful ones with 3 skills, you're going to have a lot more build flexibility in this case. And you can see different types of armor that are going to impact the way you look, and you can see different armors actually come at different power levels themselves. This one being 18 and this being 121. So I can just go ahead and salvage that for just a little bit more coin and more. I haven't found a cap in my inventory, so I'm not too worried about them limiting that at some point, but overall, it's going to be really cool to see as they build in and hopefully bring in different kind of loadouts to where you can kind of save it and retrieve it. That does not exist yet, but we'll have to dive into that in a future video if they do decide to add it. Now, there are many types of artifacts that you'll find while just playing the game itself, but you can even, as you collect multiple, end up having multiple of the same artifact equipped. So in this case, I just replaced my arrow with another tasty bone, allowing me to summon 2 dogs to fight next to me at my side. Now, as long as your abilities aren't on cooldown, you can easily switch them back out. And you can see my arrow is now on cooldown, and my other puppy has returned to the wilderness wherever he came. For the full list of artifacts, Windows Central has actually gone and compiled the current list as of release. So let's go ahead and review those artifacts for you guys right now. And again, link to their posts will be in the description below if you want to go read these for yourself. And not only have they compiled the list, they've grouped them by your different types of weapons, like your weapon, your armor, and your ranged. So for the weapons, we've got Anima Conduit. Each soul you absorb will grant you a small amount of health, 1%, 2%, and 3% accordingly for the 3 tiers. You've got chains. This is going to be a 30% to chain cluster mobs together and keep them bound for a short time. You have committed. This deals increased damage to already wounded enemies. You have critical hit. This is going to give you a chance to inflict critical hits, dealing triple the amount of damage. Then you have echo. Some of your attacks can be followed by another attack in rapid succession. You have Enigma Resonator. It gives you the chance to deal triple damage based on the number of souls you have. Then you have Exploding. This is where mobs explode after they are defeated. You have Fire Aspect. Sets mobs on fire for 3 seconds and dealing damage over time. Freezing. It's going to slow mobs after hit for 3 seconds. The Gravity has an effect that pulls mobs in a range towards the weapon impact point. Leeching. Defeating the mob heals you for a small portion of the mob's max health. You have Looting. Increases the chance for mobs to drop consumables. You have Poison Cloud. Has a 30% chance to summon a Poison Cloud that deals damage to enemies in an area of effect for 3 seconds. Prospector means that you're going to find more emeralds on fallen enemies. Radiance is going to have a 20% chance to spawn a circular area that heals all allies within. Rampaging. After defeating a mob, there's a 10% chance to increase your attack speed by 50% for a short time. You have Sharpness, making your weapon sharper and causing it to deal more damage. You have Shockwave. The last attack in a combo launches a shockwave damaging enemies. You have Smiting, increases damage dealt against the undead. You have Soul Siphon. When you hit an enemy, you gain 10% chance to grant you a bunch of extra souls. You have Stunning, chance to temporarily stun enemies. You have Swirling. The last attack of a combo performs a swirling attack, damaging nearby enemies. You have Thundering, has a 30% chance to summon Lightning Strike that damages nearby enemies. And then you have Weakening. Your attacks decrease the attack damage of all nearby enemies for 5 seconds. For your bow category, you have Accelerate. This increases the attack speed for each consecutive shot and resets 1 second after the attack. Your bonus shot here is firing a shot also fires a second shot to a nearby enemy, and the second shot has reduced damage. You have Chain Reaction, has a chance to fire arrows in all directions on impact. There's Fuse Shot. Every fuse shots has a time charge that explodes 1 second after impact, dealing 100% damage to nearby mobs. You have Gravity. The effect pulls in a range towards the weapon's point of impact. You have Growing. The fired shot grows in the air, dealing extra damage to distant targets. You have Infinity. The chance to immediately replenish an arrow after shooting. You have Looting. Increases the chance for mobs to drop consumables. Then you have Multi-Shot. It grants the chance to fire 5 arrows at once. You have Piercing. Fired arrows sometimes gain a piercing effect which allows them to fly through multiple mobs. You have Poison Cloud. Has a 30% chance to summon a Poison Cloud that deals damage to arrows at the area for 3 seconds. You have Power. This boosts your arrow damage. Punch boosts arrow pushback. You have Radiant Shot. Has a 20% chance to spawn a circular area that heals all allies within it. Rapid Fire increases your attack speed. Ricochet has a small chance that arrows will ricochet off of mobs. Supercharge has a charge shot that deals more damage to have more pushback. Tempo Theft steals a small amount of your mob's movement speed and gives it to you for 4 seconds. Enchanting, projectiles deal more damage to enchanted enemies. And then Wild Rage. Hitting an enemy has a chance to send it into a rage, making it hostile towards everyone. And then finally we have our armor enhancements. Let's start with Burning. Every 0.5 seconds, damaging all enemies within melee range. You have Chilling, emits a blast every 2 seconds that reduces the movement and attack speed of nearby enemies for 1 second. You have Cooldown, reduces the cooldown time between the use of your artifacts. You have Cowardice, while you're at full HP, you deal increased ranged and melee damage. You have Deflect, it grants a small chance to deflect incoming projectiles. You have Electrified, rolling zaps nearby enemies with lightning bolts and dealing damage. Then you have Explorer. For every 100 blocks you explore on the map, you're actually going to gain a small amount of health back. Final Shout. When your health drops below 25%, all of your artifacts are used, ignoring cooldown periods. You have Fire Trail. Rolling creates a fire trail behind you, which deals damage to mobs for 4 seconds. You have Food Reserves. Whenever you use a healing potion, you also create random food items. You have Frenzied. While you're at least half health, your attack speed is increased. You have Gravity Pulse, a blast of every 5 seconds that pulls nearby enemies towards you. You have Health Synergy. When activating your artifact, you regain a small amount of health. You have Potion Barrier. Whenever you use a healing potion, you take minus 90% of damage for a short duration. You have Recycler. Being hit by damage-inflicting projectiles will occasionally craft a small quiver of arrows. You have Snowball. Fires a snowball to a nearby enemy every few seconds, briefly stunning it. Then you have Soul Speed. Whenever you gather a soul, you gain a 1% stacking movement speed for a short period of time. Speed is Synergy. Whenever you activate any artifact, you gain a 20% movement speed for a short time. You have Surprise Gift. Whenever you use a healing potion, you sometimes create a random consumable. You have Swift-Footed. Rolling makes you move faster for 3 seconds. And you have Thorns. Whenever you take damage, you deal damage back to the attacker. Now, in our artifact, aka skills category, I just have to keep saying that, you've got Light Feather. This lets you tumble through the air, stunning and pushing enemies back as you go. You have Wind Horn. This pushes enemies away from you and slows them briefly. You have Flaming Quiver. This is going to allow you to have burning arrows. Fishing Rod. This is going to allow you to pull enemies towards you from a distance. You have Death Cap Mushroom. This greatly increases your attack and movement speed. You have Tasty Bone. This is going to summon a wolf to aid you in battle. You have your Fireworks Arrow. This puts Fireworks Arrow in your quiver and the arrows explode on hit. Then you have your Boost to Swiftness. This just gives you a short boost for movement speed. Then you have the Corrupted Beacon. Fires a high-powered beam that lets you continually damage mobs. Then you have Ghost Cloak. This is going to briefly gain a ghost form, allowing you to move through mobs and absorb some of the damage. Then you have the Golem Kit. This is going to have you summon a golem like it is in the game and let it work just like a wolf pup. You have the Gong Weakening. This is going to have an area effect that's going to reduce the damage dealt by nearby mobs to you. You have Harvester. When you use the Harvester, it releases a soul and an explosion. Then you have the Ironhide Amulet. Provides a major boost to your defense for a short time. You have Lightning Rod. You can spin souls to call down bolts of lightning into the arena. You have a Love Medallion. This turns up 3 hostile mobs into allies for 10 seconds before they end up disappearing. You have Shock Powder. This is going to stun nearby enemies. Then you have Soul Healer. This is going to be a medallion that grants you a sizable heal to members of your party, including yourself, with the lowest health. It's powered by souls, and with a full souls bar, you can cast it around 3 or 4 times before running on empty. You have Torment Quiver. This gives slow arrows that knocks back mobs and passes through walls. You have the Totem of Regeneration, a totem that creates a circular aura around you and heals you and your allies. Then you have the Totem of Shielding, does exactly what you would expect with a shield around you and your allies, protecting you from projectiles. You also have a Soul of Totem Protection, which basically prevents you from getting that knockout kill against yourself. And then you have Wonderful Wheat. This is going to have you summon a llama to aid you in battle. And those are, at the time of launch, the skills, the artifacts that you have available to you. All right, so now we come to part 3, putting this all together, building out your character. It's all going to start with you, like what you have best in mind and what is going to complement that. Think of defining a character maybe like a warrior, a rogue, an archer, a mage, a cleric, like starting with that kind of base archetype, a warrior being either a tank or a heavy armored damage dealing monster with an axe, a rogue, fast, agile, using daggers, using that, that ability to get in with a lot of speed and get out quickly. Archers from range, being able to use lots of arrows, different types like that. Mages using a lot of casting. We talked about souls, obviously here in the game, you've got various things that deal souls and feed you souls, and it's those souls that you can use to power your magic if you're trying to go for a pure mage build. And then you have like cleric, and same like with your totems for healing, as well as your other totems for protection and your ability to heal other people in the game. Obviously, a lot of this is random, and so you're going to have to be on the hunt for it. And your build, especially when starting out, is going to look like mine, being very flexible with whatever it is. I'm just trying to increase my power and have hopefully a lot of fun playing the way that I'm playing. So you can see here, my build's a little bit random. I have a little bit of healing, a little bit of ranged, and I have a pet because I love pets. And honestly, I'm going to be hunting for that golem so I can sit here and call that down. As we build out actually different builds for my character, that's what we'll put together with different videos and different guides accordingly. So for example, we just take a look at how I've got my scatter crossbow. There's a couple of different unique weapons here, the Slicer and Azure Seeker. Slicer here has a chance to fire piercing bolts, and my Azure Seeker increases my rate of fire. If I go look at just the enhancements that I have on these two things here, I could do bonus shot, I could do wild rage, I could do ricochet, or I could do punch, I could do rapid fire, or I could do multi-shot. So I do have multi-shot and I like it here, but this has also got a base power that's more increased than overall these two. So I've got a lot of choices to make in this case. I do love my scatter crossbow because of just that fact, and it also comes with multi-shot. And then I can sit here and look at tempo theft, or I could look at chain reaction. That seems like it's going to be the best build for me here. So let me go ahead and equip that. Let's go ahead and say goodbye to my old one, get those points back, and let's go ahead and enhance this guy. Yeah, absolutely multi-shot and absolutely chain reaction. Has a chance to fire 5 arrows in all directions on impact. This is going to get nuts. This is going to get nuts. Let's go ahead and increase. That's too expensive to do that, but I can do this one. And now I've got those. So I've got multi-shot, 30% chance to trigger, and a 20% chance to trigger chain reaction. So let's go take a look and see what this looks like now that I've got it set up. It's going to be nuts. And then if I want to enhance it with this guy, so honestly, it's a lot of fun to play around with the different builds. Hopefully this gives you the ability to go and start exploring and start thinking about how you want to build out your character. Now, as we continue to play the game, unlocking all the skills, playing around with all the different artifacts and different gear, we'll try to compile those lists for you, create some new character build guides and more. Let us know what you're looking for, what questions you have about the game that we can try and answer in the comments below. Also, again, if you're new here, we hope you hit that subscribe button, come back for more Minecraft Dungeons and other action RPG content here on the Ginger Prime channel. Also, again, for those of you who do go and check out Ginger Gaming Radio, thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoy the content over there. I look forward to getting to know you better. But for Ginger Prime, my name is Brian. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you have an incredible day, and I hope to see you in my next video. But until then, take care. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. This video is sponsored by me. If you guys like podcast and long form content, I hope you check out Ginger Gaming Radio. Link will be in the description of this video below. So if you're still watching this video, thank you, and check out the new channel for more content, and hopefully you enjoy. Thank you.